Hello, everybody. This is Hondo Carpenter, your Las Vegas Raiders beat writer on SI and the host of the Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast. We are going to begin digging in. Now, we're talking about position groups, as you know, and we're going to spend the next 2 days on the defensive line. We're going to specifically talk defensive ends and specifically talk defensive tackles tomorrow. Now, a couple of points that I want to make here. The Raiders last year kept 9 total defensive linemen. Okay, I think that's a pretty solid number. I think that's probably the number they're going to go for. I could see a scenario where they went a little bit different. I could see where that scenario where they go with 8, and although not expected, I could see some things happening and they go with 10. I don't expect 10. I'm not saying 10. But 8 to 9 is that number. 9 was the number last year. I think 8 to 9 is the number this year. So remember, if you remember how I do these, I go through the guys that are locks, the guys that are making the roster. Then I go through, these are the guys that maybe aren't a lock, but they're making it unless somebody explodes and really beats them. Maybe this person could get moved, any number of reasons. There are 2 guys that are locks. One that I think is as close to a lock as you can get. Then we got some other guys we're going to talk about that are going to be fighting for some spots. Now, if you remember when we talked about the offensive line, love talking about the lines, we talked about position versatility, that the more positions a player can play, it allows the team to be versatile and maybe have to keep less guys. Just remember that term over these next 2 days. We're going to be talking about it a lot. If you're going to talk defensive end anywhere in the National Football League, let alone in the Raiders, it all starts with Maxx Crosby, the best player on the team, and it isn't close. Period. Maxx Crosby is elite. In my personal opinion, he is on his way to a gold jacket in Canton. He is everything that you want in a team leader on the defensive side of the ball or anywhere. He is vociferous. He leads by example. He does not take a do as I do and not as I say approach. He holds guys accountable to the level that he delivers. A lot of guys want to, a lot of people, not just guys, a lot of people want to hold others to the standard that they want while living at another. It's not Maxx. He leads by example. He is usually the first one in the building, beating coaches, beating other teammates. Um, we'll leave it there, but later on in his career, I'm going to share a great story about that. But he is a guy that's there early. He stays late. He's always around the building, lifting, working, running, watching film, talking to new guys. He will lead linemen on the offensive side of the ball. He will lead on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. He's talking to corners. He's talking to safeties. He's talking to linebackers. He's talking to running backs, tight ends, wide receivers. He is the consummate team guy. He is not a player. He is a foundational stone. He is the guy that you paid the most money for a non-quarterback, and within a few weeks, multiple people are making more. He's not going to pull a let me pout and go get a new deal type of situation. He's going to be like, no, when I signed it, that's my name's on it. I got guaranteed money. I'm playing. I'm playing. He is now, when there wasn't guaranteed money, it's a different story, and it should be. He's a guy that in 23, when the Raiders were still playing for something with an potential of going septic and losing his life, kept playing because he wanted the playoffs because that's what the Raiders pay him for. Last year, they had to shut him down. They were playing for nothing. This is a guy that, you always say you want your players to understand the difference between injured and hurt. Maxx doesn't. Maxx is just, I'm playing. Doesn't matter how I feel. Because the way he plays, he's always hurt. He's always hurting. Because he plays like a beast. This is a guy off the field, is the nicest human being you have ever met. I guarantee you, to all of you who are fathers, if Maxx Crosby was not a multimillionaire, but he was the lumber manager at Home Depot, this is the kind of guy you want your daughter to be married to. He is off the field, a incredibly successful person, an owner of several multi-million-dollar companies. People see the chains and they think, oh man, he's out there wasting all of his money. He's going to end up as one of those ESPN 30 for 30 specials, broke. You have no clue. Very wide. Just, he has the ability to have nice things and he enjoys them, but he's very disciplined with his money. And he and his wife and his management team do a tremendous job of taking care of him. He is a doting husband and father, great son. He's literally what you want in your team leader. He's what you want. Tom Izzo, the Hall of Fame basketball coach and my friend, has always said that the best teams are when your hardest player is your hardest worker. That was what separated Michael Jordan. He would get to practice early, he would stay late. Michael Jordan would play as hard in practice as he did in games. In fact, I have friends who played with him who told me practices were grueling. And it was different than other NBA teams because if Michael was, not if, because Michael made everybody practice like they played. Kobe Bryant was that way. I saw an interview one time with him where people had, talked about him being a jerk of a teammate. And he goes, that's disappointing, but I hold people to a championship standard. When his team didn't win a championship, there was no excuses, unlike some in the Raiders organization. Raiders in the Lakers organization now. It was not, well, this, or no, it was not good enough. We're the Lakers. And he would literally, I was told this by one of Kobe's teammates. The day after they were out of the playoffs, he's there the next morning at 5 a.m. shooting, working on his game. No breaks. That's Maxx. There are 4 athletes that I would say in my lifetime were a different level. Barry Sanders, that guy out there running sprints after practice when the team was already out of playoff contention. It's unbelievable. Running steps. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and Irvin, Magic Johnson, and Magic. Those 4 guys, elite players who demanded of themselves elite performance, so they gave elite effort. That is Maxx Crosby. Period. Now, I get asked this a lot because I don't hide my appreciation for every single thing Maxx Crosby does. And I won't. He's earned it. If I'm not afraid to come on here and be critical of people, and I shouldn't be, then I'm not going to be afraid to come on here and praise the people that have earned it. But I get asked, Hondo, you talk about you think Maxx is on the road to a gold jacket, and I 100% do. Do you think he's going to be the greatest Raider of all time? I want you to hear what I'm about to say. On an organization like the Raiders, with so many great players and so many Super Bowls, I think he's on the way to the Hall of Fame, but the organization is going to have to put some better teams around him so he can earn that moniker of best player. Because you're never going to be considered the best player ever as a Raider without Super Bowls. There's too many great ones that have it. And here's the thing. This is the thing that people don't understand about Maxx. He is playing for championships. If you would have gone to Maxx, okay, and I don't hide this. Maxx and I have a great relationship and a friendship. Okay, so I believe this 100%. If you had gone to Maxx Crosby this year and said, Maxx, we're going to pay you the veteran minimum. You're not going to get this huge money extension to be the highest paid non-quarterback, but we guarantee you're going to win a Super Bowl. Sign him up. Sign him up. That is what, listen, he's already got more money than he's ever going to spend. If you think he plays the way he does for the money, you're nuts. No, obviously, we all enjoy the money that we make for doing our job. I'm not trying to give a false narrative that he doesn't enjoy it. He doesn't like what it's done for his family. But I'm telling you, league minimum in a Super Bowl or highest paid non quarterback and continue to miss playoffs. I know him. That is what drives him. Nick Saban said this one time, and I've always actually said it several times. I've heard him say it privately and I've heard him say it publicly. Mediocre people hate high achievers, and high achievers hate mediocre people. There are a lot of people that question Maxx Crosby and the bravado or want to get on him for cigars after a win. And that's because a lot of those types of people have no clue the effort that he puts into it. He understands winning a football game in the National Football League is a massive task. So he's going to celebrate every one of them. I don't blame him. I don't blame him. And he wants this franchise to get to a place where winning is an expectation. Let's go. Let's go. And I love Maxx because he leads from the front. He leads with his heart. Have there been things that he's probably done he regrets? And I'm not talking about moral issues. Just, I'm not going to get into specific, but I think there are probably things he looks back at and says, I probably wish I wouldn't have done that or wouldn't have done this. All of us have regrets. Maxx is still a young man. I'm 54 years old, and I have regrets every day. But I love people that lead from the front with accountability. Maxx Crosby is not only the best player on the Raiders team, I think he's the best defensive player in the entire National Football League. I do believe that you could make a argument for TJ Watt. And while I wouldn't agree with you, I could see where you come to that point. They're 1A and 1B. They're both phenomenal players, both cut from the same cloth. Same cloth. Elite guys, elite effort, elite men on and off the field, elite leaders. Again, I think Maxx is the better. I very well may be biased because of for my friendship and how long I've known him. I totally cede that to you. But I do think 1A or 1B for either one of them. I think they're both superstars. That's the only competition, in my personal opinion, at DE for Maxx Crosby. Next, another lock to make the roster, Malcolm Koonce. This guy struggled under previous leadership. Antonio Pierce takes over, tells Patrick Graham, do what you wish. Boom, Patrick unleashes the Kraken. And bam, he looked like a superstar. Then, after an awesome offseason last year, injured right before the season and missed the year. I told you all year the Raiders' plan was to try to give him a 1-year prove-it deal and then give him a massive extension if he did. But as the year went on, I had heard and I kept reporting to you, people were going to line up to give him, 2-3-year deal. One team I know would have given him a 4. Not at max money, but it's still very good money. What did he do? He bet on himself. No, I want to be a Raider. I'll take the prove it deal. I'm coming here. I'm staying here. It's where I want to be. I'm all Raider. If you are looking for a guy to root for in 2025 and you're a Raider, he could have, took the money and run. And it's a great song, by the way, horribly sung by me. He could have taken the money and run to another team. He wanted the silver and black. He is silver and black. And at the end of this year, y'all need to be praying and hoping and standing and thinking and rooting him on that he makes big bank. Because that's the kind of guy you want. Al Davis would say that's a Raider. You want that guy that bets on himself, that bets on his franchise, that said, no, I can go other places and get more security and more money, but I want to be a Raider. Whether you're a Raider fan or not, you got to love the mindset of Malcolm Koonce. Love this kid. Just a great kid. Great kid. Just a wonderful, warm guy. Not Maxx Crosby. Different personalities. But you don't need to have 53 Maxx Crosbys. Great player. Got a lot of praise last year in that building when he was rehabbing because he was around. Malcolm Koonce. I will tell you this. You have all heard me say this. Not a Raider fan. I root for good people. Now, clearly, I would like the Raiders to do good. It's good for me in my coverage of the team. It's much easier covering, and quite frankly, it's more enjoyable covering a winning team. I've done both, so I'm fine with whatever I got to do. I will be rooting for Malcolm Koonce this year. Good kid, great kid, hard worker, bet on himself, bet on his team. It's impossible to not love that. Just like, fans are constantly looking for players that I don't want guys that just play for the money. I want them to play for the love of the game. All right, listen, I've known Matt Stafford a long time. I love Matt. Takes tens of millions less money to go to LA. And with the tax situation in LA, it's going to even cost him more. Because he's like, look, and I'm towards the end of my career, but I'd rather not move my family until my career's over. And he goes back and stays a Ram. Character. And if you're going to praise it in one, you praise Matthew Stafford, a man of character. Same Malcolm Koonce. Malcolm Koonce. He says, listen, this organization has convinced me they're going in the right direction. I want to be part of that because I'm a Raider. Now, if the Raiders hadn't made changes and they weren't going in the right direction and players left, I wouldn't blame them. I like this. I like this a lot. Koonce, man. Legit. I am hoping and praying that that kid is 100% because he's going to give all the effort. He's going to be fun to watch. Then I want to talk about Tyree Wilson. Now, this is why position flexibility is so important. Comes in, he's drafted with a major injury. The Raiders said flat out, rookie year is going to be a red shirt, not counting it. Had to play because of Chandler Jones's issues. Did not have a good rookie year, although at the end he started to flash a little. He wasn't 100%, but he was getting healthier. Last year, which in my opinion, and I've said it all along, and I said it since he got picked, that was his rookie year, in my opinion. And if you were looking at it like a rookie year, I thought he was phenomenal. Go put the tape in and watch him against the Chiefs. Now, there were a couple of times where he missed sacks because he was too high or had his head down. Rookies, which is what I looked at last year for him, those are growth issues. Those are learning issues. I have no issues with that. The point is, he was there. He made Patrick Graham's miserable with his speed. He is long, lengthy, strong, can bend, and he's fast. Now, his rookie year when he had to play, the mad scientist genius who should be a head coach, Patrick Graham, slid him inside to learn how to use his hands. Great move. So, see, he offers some precision flexibility. I could see some times where you slide him inside. What about a pass rushing situation where you're going to bring three guys? Koonce, Crosby, Tyree. Now we're cooking with butter. Now when I say we're, meaning from the Raiders' perspective, now we're seeing something. Just telling you, the Tyree is a guy I have not in any way lost faith in. The Raiders were convinced, as well as others, he was a total dude. Okay. I voiced at the time, talking to medical doctors, they thought that was a risk to take him where they did. But the Raiders, and I know other teams as well, that guy's a dude. So if you do what was said, which is the first year is a red shirt, I think you absolutely look at progress and you're encouraged about him. At 6 overall, he better not be complete or be thorough or be done. I don't think you have to worry about that with Tyree. Another great kid. Every one of you would love him. He is just where I'm from in Michigan, we'd say that guy's a peach of a person. Just a great kid. And him and DJ Glaze, different positions, same type of kid. He lights up the room with his smile. When people saw him on draft night with the shades and all the jewelry and stuff, he was having fun. But he is just super comfortable just being the workhorse. You can see him after practice, man. He's hanging around with his teammates. He's talking to guys. There's just so much about Tyree Wilson, the person, to like. Got a long ways to go to have warranted the 6th pick. If he was picked first player in the 2nd round, nobody would be saying anything. If he was picked bottom 9 in the 1st round, I don't think anybody would be saying anything. He can't control where he was picked. But Tyree brings some position versatility that may open a door for them to say, we can keep 8. We can keep 8 because he plays both. Again, just makes the team better. Does that allow him to keep a Cam Miller? We talked about keeping less on the offensive line. Think about it. Tyree Wilson. Next is a guy that I think if they keep 4, and I don't think he's a lock, but if they were to keep 4 and the roster were to come out today, I think he would be number 4. Unlike Tyree, that I wouldn't call him a lock, but somebody's going to have to way overperform to beat him. You know, after Koonce and Maxx, I think you could see any of these guys being part of a trade package. Not predicting that, but could. But this is a guy, Charles Snowden, 6'7", 245. Had some issues. This is a guy you may remember last year I just kept talking to you about in training camp, just kept shining. He just presents that 6'7" frame. He's just so big and he just bends it. I remember I said this to him last year. I told him this in the locker room. I don't remember what game it was after, but I told him this. He just bends in a way that doesn't even look human at 6'7". And that athleticism just screams off the tape. I know there's been some issues, okay? I'm not denying that. Good kid. You say, what about it? I don't want to hear it. Good kid. Some of y'all must have been perfect. I'm not justifying any mistakes, not even pretending that they're good, because they're not. But good people can make bad mistakes. Thank God for grace. I heard it said one time, and I'll never forget this. Everybody has a past, but thank the Lord, everybody has a future. And you know what? If you're, I don't care about if you're a football player or not, you're a fan watching. Maybe you're a real estate agent. Maybe you're a doctor, a lawyer, an attorney. Maybe you are, you run a forklift. Maybe you run a crane. Maybe you work in a restaurant. Whatever you do, wherever you live in the world, okay, maybe you have a past. Okay. You also have a future. I like Charles. I think this guy can play in the National Football League. I think he can. I don't know that the Raiders could hide him on the practice squad. I think that would be difficult. Not impossible, but difficult. But I think if they had to do the 53-man today, he'd make it. I'm not predicting that he's a lock like Malcolm and Maxx, nor a guy that's not a lock but going to be hard to beat in Tyree. But I've got him as the 4th best tight end on this team. Now I want to go talk about a guy, Andre Carter, because I can see where Andre and Snowden are battling here. This is a guy in his 2nd year out of Army. His first year, he played at Minnesota, 12 games, played in 3 games for the Raiders last year. The kid is 6'6", 256. Really interesting guy. I like Andre Carter. I do like him. He's just got some he's a guy that when you're standing there in practice and you watch him, he just got something. You can see there's a skill set there. There's a skill set there. And he's got to develop it. But Merry Christmas to all 8 of these guys. They play for Robbie Leonard, the best defensive line coach in the entire National Football League. But Andre Carter's a guy I could see pushing Snowden. I could see those two battling for 4 easily. And it wouldn't surprise me if Andre beat him. Interesting kid. Really interesting kid. Really observant. If you watch him in practice, he doesn't waste reps. When he's not playing, he's watching. He's a very ethereal kid. I like Carter. He's got something. He's got something. I think they could probably hide him on a practice squad, but the Raiders got him off of Minnesota's. So maybe not. But I like Andre Carter. Now I want to talk about a guy, uh, an interesting guy. And this is Jaw Joyner, 6'4", 265, a rookie out of Minnesota. I think this guy has got a chance. But he's very, very raw. I would be shocked if he doesn't make the practice squad. Do I think he's one of those guys that could overperform and get that 4 spot? I think he could. Sure. I think he's got the skill set. I think there's enough there that I think he makes your practice squad. For sure. I think he's definitely in the hunt for that. But he's got a little enough that with Robbie Leonard and some other things, could he move up? Yes. I don't anticipate it. But he's a name you need to keep there because he's got enough. And he's a developmental guy. This is a guy you develop a little bit, and he could be something. And that's what a practice squad's all about. Another guy I want to talk about is Jafar Harvey, 6'2", 255, rookie out of SMU. Same type of situation. You put on the film and you can see, ooh, okay. There's some guys you put the film on and they don't have a snowball's chance in hell of playing in the National Football League. It's like, okay, bye. Then you turn the film on. Some guys, you're like, oh yeah, this is a star. And there's some guys you put the film on and you're like, okay, not a star, not a lock, but he's got those building blocks. He's got enough there that there's promise, potential. That's what Ron Wolf, when he talked about Brett Favre with Atlanta, there was just enough there. It's what made Ron Wolf such a great executive. He could see the little pieces when others saw the reasons why they couldn't. He saw the reasons that they could, and then he would develop that. And again, with Jafar Harvey, you can see some stuff. I don't see him playing onto the 53. But man, him and to me and Jaw Joyner are very similar guys. I like Jaw a little bit better, but it's very minimal. But Jafar Harvey. Then I want to talk about a guy, and I'm going to say his name wrong. And with a name like Hondo, I'm called Ho, Hondu, Honda, whatever. And I don't like getting people's names wrong. But his name is Ovi Og Hufo. I've heard Og Hufo, Og Hofo, and O Hofo. And I even heard Ofu. I have no idea how to say it. Okay. 6'4", 250 out of LSU. He's intriguing. Plays 3 years at Notre Dame, 2 years at Texas, 1 year at LSU, 31 games, and 31 games. Several starts, 15 and a half sacks, 20 and a half tackles for a loss. He played at 3 high-level schools: LSU, Texas, Notre Dame. There was some concern when he was coming out, just why is this guy moving schools all the time? And that's a legitimate concern that teams have. I don't feel like that scares a lot of teams about him. So evidently they've done their research and found like it's going to be okay. I like his game better than Harvey and Joyner. His game part. This is a guy, I think, with a good shot to make that practice squad and develop. I think his game is maybe even a little bit better than Joyner and Harvey. But this will give him a chance to just grow as a football guy, to learn the game of football. I'm not saying that's the wrong term. That implies that he doesn't know football, and that's not what I'm trying to say. But this will allow him to grow into the attributes and habits that can allow him to play up to his ability every week. I think that's a good way of saying it. I like Ovi, the player. I really do. Don't know him. Talk to some people who do. Um, and they like him. I did not hear one person say they don't like him. I just think there's a learning curve here for him. I don't think it's the same learning curve as a Joyner or a Harvey, but he may have a better skill set. So there's your tight end room. You go from the best in the National Football League with a Maxx Crosby, a guy that's, I think, not even at the apex of his prime yet, with a burgeoning superstar in Malcolm Koonce, who, if he's recovered, he's going to do it. A guy that has some of the best athletic skills on the entire team, and Tyree Wilson, who could really, really be something. A Snowden and a lot of young guys. This is a really interesting room. Remember, they kept 9 defensive linemen last year. 4 DNs. Do they keep 9 this year? Or do they keep 8 because you have a Tyree that has some position flexibility? A lot of interesting stuff there. A lot of interesting stuff to look at. The Raiders are very fortunate for this defensive end room. Thanks, everybody.